All right, everybody. So we're back. I don't like to think about economics a whole heck of a lot. I did a lot of research on it as a teenager and in my early 20s. And by the time I was about 16, when I was younger, I was a communist. By the time I was about heading into grad school, I was well aware of how corporate capitalism was screwing all of us. Um, Since then, it's only proved more and more true. And what you have to understand, as I've explained before, is that crisis is opportunity for corporate capitalism. These people, if you are a small bodega owner, 7-Eleven can afford to shut down all their stores for 3 months and survive. You probably can't. So it is actually in the longer term, and that's the advantage of having money. And this goes from everybody from poor individuals to cash-strapped small businesses, all the way on up to even corporations that compete with each other. Um, the more money you have, the further ahead you can think and plan, as far as investment opportunities, as far as growth, as far as diversification, all of it. All of it is on the table when you have more money, because when you have more money, you have more options. So he with the most money at the beginning of the crisis ends up with the most money at the end. Remember how 2008, all the big banks were too big to fail, got bailouts, and then they bought up all the failing little banks, and they all just consolidated, put it on their asset sheets, and made more money? Same exact thing here. So if you're a small bodega owner and you've got a 7-Eleven down the block that you compete with, they can afford to be shut for 3 months where you can't. And so I was trying to think of things that if I were a small business owner, I would look at doing. Um, First of all, look at cutting your overhead, which can be, yes, cutting employees, but can also be maybe sharing your location. Um, Find somebody else with a small business that you can fit into your business. I've seen like a lot of restaurants that do like a bakery out front. That'll work. Maybe you have a small general shop in the front that leads to a back end that used to be a stock room. Now, maybe it's a small cafe. Maybe it's a coffee house. If you're depending on what you're near. If you're near a college and people want to go and study and sit around, and even if you want to do like a cannabis cafe, if that's legal in your state, you want to do cannabis edibles, you want to do target a particular group. There are keto cafes that make ketogenic food. There are vegan cafes that make vegan food. Any whatever your niche, whatever your thing, find somebody else who's not going to be able to pay rent anymore, and share your space with them. Possibly share your employees with them, cross train. um, if all of us, everybody who's in a cash strap position, if you're in a position where you're gonna not make it financially out of the other end of this for whatever reason, um, as a business, what have you got to lose by going minimalist, really paring down, and then sharing your space with somebody else who may be in the same position with you? If you've got a $1,500 rent, $1,500 a month lease, you can afford 750 maybe to reopen. But if you can't afford 1,500, then 750 and then sharing 750 with somebody else is an idea. Start looking at ways to innovate and sell online. There are people, there are pizza delivery places. There's one that I follow on Instagram. They're not only selling and delivering pizzas, but they're now selling pizza kits. So you can pop by, pick up a pizza kit, take it home, maybe freeze it. It's good for a couple of days, whereas before you ordered a pizza, you ate it then. Now you get it, you get the ingredients, you get the dough, whatever, and then you just cook it at home at your leisure. That's an option. Any kind of general store, you can deliver products, whatever. Definitely, I would look at like talking to care homes in the area who have vulnerable populations who aren't going to be going out looking to do a lot of shopping, and maybe setting up an order delivery service with them. Understanding the demographic to which you would be playing, which would be people who wouldn't be terribly tech savvy. They're not going to be downloading an app on their smartphone necessarily. They're not going to be wanting to get online. So you may have to call these people. You may have to go by and take, paper orders every morning, and then every evening drop off the deliveries from that day, from that morning's orders. Whatever it is, you've got to get creative, and you've got to learn to live on what you have. And as a small business owner, if I had a small business, that's what I would be looking at doing. But understand that, corporate capitalism is very Darwinian, and it's shown itself to be that in its globalized form, and it's showing itself to be that in its domesticated form, and nobody cares. Corporations don't care about your neighborhood. They don't care about a flag. They care about profits. That's what they are legally required to do, is serve the best interest of the corporation and the board and their bottom line at all costs. Legally, that is actually a requirement because they have constitutional personhood for some reason. Corporate charters, whatever. That's a whole other discussion. But yeah, so that's just what I wanted to say about that. Small business owners are going to be super, super, super struggling. If you can move your business, if you can't afford rent at all, if you can't afford half your rent after this, maybe you can work out of your home. If you're doing a catering business, you can cook from home. You can find ways to do it. Maybe, if you find a restaurant, maybe there's a restaurant that's on the verge of closing and you're going to have to leave your catering cooking space and you need 4 or 5 stoves or whatever. Maybe they're happy to let you come in overnight and use the restaurant. They close at 9, 10 o'clock at night. Who knows what hours will be like after this. They close at 10 o'clock at night. Maybe they'll let you come in if you have, a wedding to do the next day or whatever. Maybe they let you come in and cook overnight. And you can pay like whatever portion of the rent you guys agree to. So just think outside of the box, start. All of this ended up actually happening to begin with is consolidation. So you need to consolidate resources, consolidate opportunity, and you have to adapt and survive before you can evolve. So just understand that this is a crisis, but is an opportunity for those, who are in a better position. It's just like quality of quarantine. I'm quarantined basically in a room. There are people quarantined right now with jet skis on private islands, with boats, and their own movie theaters. And, I'm not hating on those people for having what they have. I don't hate anybody for doing well in life. But we have to understand what allocation of resources is right now under the system that we have. So act accordingly, get creative, think outside of the box, team up with other people. I think it would be really great if there was some kind of website that came together and started, matching people up who had different needs, like a caterer who needs a space to cook and a restaurant that can't quite make rent after this. So maybe that's an idea for somebody out there that wants to design a website like that. But yeah, welcome to capitalism. It is survival of the fittest. It is Darwinianism in its purest form. And the more unregulated it is, the more Darwinian it is. So countries where they've got a happy blend of socialism and capitalism and, a democratic socialist agenda, basically your Scandinavian countries. In those places, people will, continue to live with a dignified standard. In other places where they were happy to let people sleep on sidewalks before and didn't give a shit and, saddle somebody with 50 grand in student debt and another 40 grand for hospitalization Covidd-19 treatment. It's a little more to each their own. So, just saying, some good ideas, I think. At least I hope. I don't know. But yeah, I would say comment or whatever if you have any other ideas. And yeah, that's all I can really say about that. But stay strong and hang in there.